what to title this sermon. I believe it was yesterday that I finally was in touch with Mark. Yes, Lord, it's me. Last week, Nita reminded us that so often God speaks to us and we don't really hear him. Well, maybe we do hear him, and maybe we're just afraid to answer that call. How many times have we answered the phone and pretended that we were someone else because we didn't want to listen to a salesman pitch his trade or his product? Or looked at the caller ID and ignored the call because we were too tired or just too lazy to talk. I've done it. I know I have many times. This week's scriptures shows us that not everyone reacts the same way when they get the call. How are you going to react when you get the call? Will you gladly answer and be like the fishermen who put their trust in the word of the Lord? Or be like Jonah and fight it tooth and nail and be unhappy because you have a set notion of how you think things are supposed to go? Or a petulant child who thinks that they have more chores to do than their siblings, that maybe they have to do more. Well, sometimes you do have to do more than someone else because God knows you have more, that you have it within you, even if you're afraid. Maybe you're afraid of the change that will happen when you answer. Afraid that you can't do what is asked of you, or that you won't do it in the right way. Or maybe if you ignore it altogether, it'll just stop ringing, and you won't have to deal with it. And then you won't have to face that fear. And sometimes it's hard. I mean, I think it's very hard for us to know what is being asked of us. I think that is probably one of my biggest prayers when I speak with God. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do this? Are you kidding? I don't have it in me. I am not strong enough for this. I can't take any more on my plate. My plate is just too darn full. But you have to take that leap of faith and not be so afraid. When God calls on us to act, we must have faith that we're going to do it. Are we going to do it exactly right? Probably not in our eyes, but I think in his eyes. He has a plan, and it's not for us to question, even though we do. But I think what God is looking for, and you know what, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think God is expecting us to be perfect and do it perfectly. I think what God is asking from us is to simply put in the effort and have the faith to put him first and and go forth with it. Again, he has a plan, and we're usually not going to know what it is until long after the fact. I'm afraid. I have to admit, a lot of times I am afraid. I was afraid this morning. It took all of this to come up with this. And I wrote and I rewrote. I had one idea, then another idea, and another, and at 4 o'clock this morning, I was writing again. Because I wanted it to be perfect. And
Maybe that's why I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and went back to bed.
why? Because I was working?
Must have been tomorrow.
Maybe.
I woke up.
Maybe God was calling you. Hunter, go make your mom some coffee.
Probably.
I waited, and I waited. I had to have a cup of tea.
That's probably why I was woken up. I probably should have gone down and made coffee.
You see? He was saying, Hunter,
But I
Hunter.
probably needed it. And I was wondering why the light was on too. So.
Wow.
Which one?
I'm missing a page. But that's okay. See, it's not going to be perfect. And so I guess this is going to be one of the shortest sermons. I guess my biggest message would be, when the call comes, don't pretend you're not home. Answer it. Pick it up when it's ringing and say, yes, Lord, it's me. I'm here. I'm not someone else. I'm the one that you're looking for. And then take it with kindness and go. I surely wish I could remember the rest of the sermon that I had, but since I'm missing the whole page, you know, I did a little research into what was going into, you know, we're heading into Lent, and the lectionary, it talks about what we do to foster and bring people into the church, and not just be those friendly people, those friendly folks, but to also be able to go out and spread the word without being afraid. And I think that's very hard for a lot of us. And that's it. That is it this week, unfortunately. I wish I had the other page. But we're going to sing. We're going to sing Lord of the Dance. And we're gonna have this is going to be a quick sermon. I mean, we have a lot of fellowship time today. Breaking under the pressure. 261.
One of those.